Guys, it is Cheyenne and I am back with another video. I am wrapped up in a nice cozy blanket on a fall morning. Did I say that with an accent? Morning. Anyways, since it is almost Halloween time, it's a month ahead, but anyways, it's fall time, it's the spooky season, and I wanted to make a video about some of my countless paranormal encounters. And this will actually be a series because I have so many interactions with the paranormal world that they all require their own video. So I'm only going to do a couple videos right now. And anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So as a child, I always felt connected to the paranormal realm. It kind of runs in my family. A couple of my siblings have been known to see spirits, and I could sense spirits and see them as a youngster. And oftentimes I would just kind of see like people out of the corner of my eye. And it was actually crazy, but my whole family, like I said, has been connected to the paranormal realm. And so we lived in a two-story salt box, like old English-looking house out in the countryside. And going up the stairs to the second floor where my bedroom was, there would be the bathroom, and I would always see somebody out of the corner of my eye in the bathroom. And actually, my mother saw it also, and really crazy. So anyways, my brothers in this house, this is my haunted childhood home, my brothers were two teenage boys and they lived in the basement, which had been converted into their bedrooms. And anyways, one night I was sleeping in my mother's room, and by this time we kind of know the house is spooky. I am 7, 8 years old, and anyways, like, it's kind of a spooky house. And my two brothers decide to come up the stairs. I think they're like 15 and 16. And they said, "Mom, we're hearing some weird voices in the basement and we're scared and we want to sleep in your room." So my mom was like, "Sure, what's going on?" Like, and basically they had said that they heard someone saying that they needed to pick up something, but they knew it wasn't my mom. It wasn't my mom's voice. And it was just, they were creeped out. They said that they just heard some voices. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they were so scared, these teenage boys, that they slept in my mom's room. And so there was some spooky stuff like that. Anyways, so one day, I'm out in the backyard, and I'm walking near the horse because we had a horse, and I remember hearing footsteps behind me. And I looked around and there was no one there. It was open space. So then we move a couple years later, so we're fast forward and we're in a new house. And it was crazy, but every night outside of my bedroom window, I would hear somebody walking outside of my bedroom window. And like, a couple people thought I was being dramatic, or, maybe they were just thinking, "Oh, well, let's not make a big deal about the paranormal world. We'll just kind of like pretend it's not there and, let Cheyenne deal with it." So, anyways, every night hearing somebody walk outside my window, and I open the blinds and I see a shadow just walk past my window, and I'm terrified. And I tell my mom about it, and she seemed concerned, but at the same time, we both knew it was paranormal activity. Anyways, so I'm freaking out just because I didn't like dealing with the paranormal realm. I really didn't as a youngster. And so one night I decided to lift up the blinds as I heard someone walking outside my window. And I grabbed my camera and I took a picture. And you could see the face of a ghost. You could tell it was not a living person. It was a ghost. And I wish I had the picture on me. I posted it on my MySpace because this was back in the days of MySpace, and I actually don't know if I have access to the photo, but it was terrifying. You could see the outline of a face, a man's face, a nose, a chin, eyes, and it was a ghost face looking right at my window. That was pretty scary. And then let's say, I think a couple months later, um, we had like a screen glass door in the living room which led to the backyard. And so it was late at night, and all of a sudden I see this shadow, like this smoke swirling around, like in this, just like this mist, this like pillar of smoke right outside the sliding glass door. And you like look at it, and like I'm like looking at it, I'm like, what's going on? Like, what is up with this? And I grabbed my mom, and I'm like, Mom, do you see this? And sure enough, yeah, she saw it too. It was just like this mist just appearing, and we didn't know where it came from. It was just paranormal activity. And so that was pretty terrifying. And then fast forward, I'm living at my aunt's house, and I knew it was creepy. Mind you, my aunt lived in like the most terrifying small town. It was actually on Ghost Adventures. So anyways, it was a really haunted town. If you look up haunted towns in California, it will show up. Anyway, so I'm living at my aunt's house. I'm 19. I had just moved out, and my aunt was out of town, and she had these two dogs, and these dogs just would bark. They would just start barking, and they would be looking at nothing. They would just be looking at like empty space, but you could tell they were looking at something, and they were barking, and they were freaking out. And then one night I hear somebody like outside of the house, like it sounded like somebody was scratching the walls like this. Like, it was a terrifying sound. And my aunt was out of town. I didn't really have any other family in the area, and it was really scary. It really was. So these stories are going to get increasingly scarier, so stay tuned till the very end when I get even more scary stories. Anyways, so fast forward about, I want to say, a year and a half later, I actually move 2 houses down from my aunt, still in this haunted town. And this is where things get worse. So I moved into this house, and oh my gosh, actually I think it was only a year later. So yeah, I'm still 19, and I'm in this house that I'm renting. I was able to get the house for a great deal. It was only $400 a month, all utilities included. And I will tell you why I got it for a good deal. So I had moved into the house, and it was like a 2-story house, and the upper portion of the house was completely closed off, and it was just empty. And I lived in the bottom story of the house, which was converted into its own house. And anyways, I hear somebody walking along the upper portion of the house, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, what the hell is this? And you can hear somebody running across the upper portion. So I thought somebody was breaking in, so I called the police. I'm like, I'm hearing somebody in the upper portion of the house that's supposed to be empty. I'm renting the bottom portion. Can you please come over? I'm scared. And so I do that, and I start pressing the record button on my phone, and you could hear somebody like dragging. It sounded like they were dragging like a heavy suitcase across the upper portion of the house and running. And so the cops show up. I'm scared. I am legitimately terrified. And they hear the recording of what I had been recording, and they're like, that doesn't sound like an animal. And they were actually talking amongst themselves, and they're like, that doesn't sound like an animal. We think that somebody's up there. We're going to have to investigate. So the cops had, they had probable cause to check the upper portion of the house, and they're like, come up here. And I went up there with them, and we go to the upper portion of the house, and it was empty, but you could tell, well, there was some furniture up there from the owner, but you could tell nothing had been out of place, like nobody had moved anything. And creepy thing is, it actually had like this, I cannot make this stuff up, it actually had like this hidden library, and it was like this library that I didn't know about it, but it like led into the bottom story, so it led into my place. And my place actually had this door on it that I couldn't open it. Like, I could not open the door, but somebody on the other side could open the door and come into where I was staying. And that section of the house was actually a library. And so the cops talked to me, and they're like, we heard something on, what you're recording, and nothing's been out of place. And they said, this might be far-fetched, but, we are living in this town. We think it's paranormal activity. Your house gives us a creepy vibe. And so I was like I was scared, I really was. And so they leave, and how was I able to I got the previous owner's phone number, and I can't remember how I got their phone number. But anyways, they were like a couple I had met like once. They were in their 40s or 50s, and I called them up and I said, hey, so I just moved into your house and I'm hearing some freaky stuff. And mind you, I had moved into their house 3 days after they had left. And they said, that's why we moved out. There is some creepy stuff that going on. Like, we left. And so things just got worse and worse. So I couldn't really afford anywhere else. Like, I'm 19. I think I had just turned 20, and it's $400 a month, and I have my own house. It's utilities included. It was a great location, in this little haunted town. But it was semi close to my work, and I really loved my independence. I've been on my own since I was 19. So, anyways, I didn't want to leave, but I'm getting legitimately scared. So I would hear oftentimes somebody running across the upper portion of the house. And the upper portion of the house outside led to the bottom portion where my front door was by some stairs. And I would hear late at night somebody running up and down the stairs. And I would open the door and look, and no one was there. And so it just got creepier and creepier. I would hear, like I said, the sound of somebody near there. And so that door in the lower portion where I lived that I could not open, but it could open this way, I would hear the sound of somebody clawing. Like, I'm clawing my wall right now, on the outside of the door. And I would hear the sounds of like chains being dragged. It was terrifying. So my friends wouldn't come over. I actually had a horribly terrifying encounter where I had my friend stay over, and she and I are sleeping in my bed, and I wake up the next morning and she was freaked out, and she said, Cheyenne, I am never staying here again. You can come over to my house from now on. And I asked her, I'm like, why? And she said, while you were sleeping, something was playing with my hair. I thought it was you. I looked and it was not you. And then I heard voices saying, we're here, we're here. And I heard somebody walking around, but I could not see them. Like, my house was like a studio, so the only doors were to the bathroom to close it. Other than that, it was open space. So she said that she heard somebody walking around, but she couldn't see anybody but hearing footprints. And that was pretty scary. She said that she heard someone tapping on my glass, like I had a glass above our bed of water, and she was terrified. And then my boyfriend, who is this guy, like covered in tattoos, like a scary looking guy, he wouldn't come over. He went over and he said, your house has bad vibes, like I'm scared to be here. Anyways, so there was some other really creepy stuff. I would see these black orbs floating around in the house, and it was quite terrifying. Anyways, so one day, I thought my cousin was coming over. My cousin was staying with me for a little bit, and anyway, so I thought she was at the house already. So I come in, and I hear Cheyenne. I hear my name being spoken very clearly. And it's late at night, but it sounded like it was from the side of the house where my cousin would park. So I'm like, oh, maybe my cousin's calling for me. And I go out to the side of the house, and no one's there. And so this house had, I was stuck here for 7 months until I finally was like, I have to leave. Anyway, so I had a shed in the back of the house. And at this point in time, I don't want to stay at my house. I'm freaked out. So I went to the back of the house where the shed was, and I was going to go stay with my friend. And so I look in the shed and I make sure that it's shut. And anyways, I go stay at my friend's house, and I come back the next morning, and I check the house, because I'm getting scared. Like, more and more freaky stuff is happening. Things are moving. every night I'm hearing somebody run across. I'm hearing people pound on my door, scratch the walls, and I'm not the only one who's hearing it. My friends are hearing it. Anyways, and actually there was a time when I came back from work and all of these rocks had been aligned in a row, 6 rocks aligned in a row outside of my front door. And it was crazy. I heard, my friend was over one time, and we heard somebody laughing outside of the house. And I opened the door. I come out, and there's a handprint on my window, and it was scary. I actually had decided to grab a hidden video camera because it was getting so bad that oh my god. So I got a hidden video camera and I put it outside of my house, and I came back and the video camera had been broken in half. It was pretty terrifying. Anyways, so going back to this shed story, I come back to the shed to check on the shed just to make sure nothing had been out of place. The shed door was open and everything had been moved off to the right hand side. So I'm freaking out. And so one day I hear this really loud noise. I'm getting terrified. I'm terrified. Loud noise. I'm done. I called the police because I didn't know what to do. And I call the police. They come over. And he said, I remember you when you called me last time, and I wanted to let you know your house is so creepy that I've literally told my friends about this. Your house is terrifying. If I were you, I would move. I believe in ghosts, and if you look at our police report, it actually says possible paranormal activity. I'm not joking with you. Your house is scary. And so I was finally able to move from this haunted, terrifying house. Oh my god. So, spirits have always seemed to follow me in my life, and, every house that I lived at was haunted. I've had so many encounters. These are just a few that I wanted to make for this series, because, it's fall and whatnot, and I'm going to be making a series, like I said, on the paranormal realm, and I have even more terrifying stories. So if you want to hear more terrifying stories, go ahead and hit like and subscribe, okay? Peace out. I love you all.